Right, we are live with episode 7, and tonight's going to be a pretty quick one. So, basically, what I'm going to do in tonight's episode is I'm going to go over kind of the main things that you need to be focusing on for SEO that are actually going to move the needle the most. Because with SEO, there's like about 200 ranking factors on Google, and it can become pretty overwhelming as to what to actually do when you're actually optimizing your site. And from experience, you can easily get bogged down in some of the kind of really petty things that don't necessarily move the needle that much. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do those things, but what I'm saying is you should focus on certain things to begin with. So on a Google search here, ranking factors of Google, you'll find obviously that Google will never release what the actual ranking factors are unless there's been some kind of leak or something like that. But, there's a lot of ranking factors that are kind of confirmed, what can you call it? Like Google have kind of indirectly confirmed it in a way, or, they've been around for so long that it's kind of obvious they're the ranking factors. But if we go on, if you type in ranking factors for Google into a Google search, you're going to find that there's hundreds and hundreds of blogs out there that will write every single factor that's known to this date on their blog. And right at the top here, like Backlinko, that's going to be a blog that's going to write almost, you can see 200 ranking factors. So if we click on that, you'll be able to scan through these pages. They can give you what they think are the top ranking factors. You can look at every single one of these 200 factors they've listed on here that, throughout the SEO industry, we've all kind of agreed on over a long period of time. Now, there's a ton of stuff here that people will still disagree with. There's a lot of concepts and theories and factors that have been probably added on this blog here that some people will say no, that's absolute bollocks. That those ranking factors are, well, they're not even ranking factors. Like that's how kind of open for discussion a lot of this stuff is. Like duplicate content, for example, is something that a lot of kind of SEOs and a lot of marketers will debate is an actual problem for sites or not. So, there's so much kind of discussion around what's actually worth doing, what's not worth doing. But like every SEO, everyone that does SEO or marketing over time will kind of like, you can see what works and what doesn't work, and then there are certain things that you do that perhaps don't work as well as other things. So it's worth saying that you've got 200 ranking factors here, and the best strategies are the ones that kind of have like the most kind of diversity of ranking factors. So for example, if you've got 200 ranking factors here, there's by no means, you should not be going through this list and trying to check off every single ranking factor, because that's not how that's not necessarily going to work for you, and that you can actually over optimize things. But what you should be doing is kind of like getting good at quite a number of these things, and then finding what works for your business, in your industry, in your country, in your location, for your services, and then working out a strategy that works for you. So you've got like Google's algorithm. It's not necessarily just made for like every type of website. For example, you have an algorithm specifically for sites that are classed as your money, your life. So, for example, if you was in like the health industry, or you was in the financial industry, those subjects and those industries are kind of classed as they need to be more heavily regulated, because the information that comes out of them is not necessarily going to be it could be detrimental to people's like health and their well-being and stuff like that. So that's why they've got a completely separate algorithm just for those types of sites. So obviously when it comes to flooring, it's not your money, your life, but there are going to be things that work better in flooring and for a flooring type business or a local type business than things that would work better in for example like the health industry. Now if you did some of the things that that you would do to like a website in the health industry, to a flooring company's website, that's probably going to be overkill for some of that stuff. You don't necessarily need to do it. So, for example, if you was to write a blog article or you was to write any piece of content in, for example, like the health industry, like no kind of sector in particular, but in general, you're going to need to make sure that all of the information that you're putting out there has been verified by, real experts in the industry, people that are perhaps kind of like got PhDs and stuff like that, because that content can affect people's lives and stuff like that. Whereas obviously in the flooring industry, it's not like that. You can kind of write almost whatever you wanted about a piece of flooring, and there's not going to be anyone there to kind of regulate you. Obviously, like yourselves, like going out fitting and supplying and all of that, working within the industry, you're going to know whether that information is good information or bad information. But obviously, like consumers and stuff like that are reading your blog articles, they're not necessarily going to know. They're going to see your blog articles, they're going to kind of make a decision for themselves whether your information is good information. Like I was saying, if you compare that to the health industry, you'd have to have that kind of like backed up by reports and scientific evidence and things like that. So that's kind of why like you wouldn't just kind of follow all of these 200 kind of ranking factors to the T for your business. You would try, like I say, you'd try and find things that would work for the flooring industry, would work for your type of business, and then you would go from there. So I'm not going to go through all of these. Well, I'm not going to go through hardly any of these, because all I'm going to do today is just talk about the things that I personally focus on the most, because I know they work the most and they have the most impact. So just if you really quickly scan through this, you can see there are so many different things here. Like we're only on getting past 100 now, but there's just so many things, and some of them are so petty. And like Chrome bookmarks, like obviously you do want people to bookmark your kind of your page, but is that going to be that necessary in the flooring industry? What else you got? Your money, your life. That was what I was talking about a minute ago. It's just so many different things. Payday loans update. That's not going to apply, obviously, to this industry. It's just loads of stuff. So known authorship, again, known authorship would be very important in like the health industry or the financial industry, but when it comes to the flooring industry, it's not quite as important. That could be a benefit later on if you was kind of a if you did grow a huge kind of flooring website or something like that, then known authorship might be a better one. But for a local flooring company trying to sell local products to the local area, that's not something that's ever gonna you're gonna need to worry about. So anyway, yeah, right. I'm gonna finish there with kind of this stuff here, because I'm not gonna kind of read all of this stuff. But what I do is I'll go to my notes here and I'll kind of show you the stuff that I think is the most important that you'd need to focus on. So currently in no particular order, but I will go through this in the order I think that you should kind of implement this in. So the first things first, I would say that you'd need to focus on is content. So if we go to my example site here that I've used before, what I'm talking about content is having the right pages that target the right keywords. So, and not just that, also having the standard pages that Google expects to see on a local business website or a local flooring company's website. So like I've mentioned before, like, you need to obviously have a homepage that kind of encompasses all of the main pages and services that you offer, with kind of well-written content on it. And then you'd also have to have all of the standard pages, so about us, contact us, the services pages, and then individual service pages for each of the services that you offer. Additionally, you don't have to, but you could obviously put a catalogue on there as well. This would also, slightly go down the e-commerce side, so a lot of companies, local flooring businesses, aren't going to want a catalogue, but you could add a catalogue to your site, just to display a few products, but not necessarily make it an e-commerce site. So, these ones here are home, about us, contact, services, and then obviously the single pages about the services that you offer are the most important pages on your site. And then a couple of other kind of pages that are also important is going to be your privacy policy page, wherever it is, that one there, and then also the location pages as well. Case studies and blogs, they're obviously good to have, but not 100% essential. Probably later on, if you wanted to start growing your website a little bit more, then a blog would be more and more important, and obviously case studies are going to be more important for like conversion optimization. But I'm talking about just for SEO here. So in terms of getting your site ranked for the keywords that you want them to rank for, like a case study is not going to be that important for that kind of thing. And then location pages. So what I'm talking about location pages is I'm talking about where you're targeting a particular product or service within a particular location, because these are the pages that we can then create the content that actually gets you ranking for those keywords. So what I'm saying is your website needs to have all of these kind of standard pages, and it needs to have a good amount of content on each one of these pages to make it kind of good quality. So what you want to be a little bit careful of is, I see a lot of websites where they have very minimal content on there. And it's not necessarily about the quantity of content, but like they have minimal bad quality content on their site. And nowadays, since like there's been obviously AI has been around, I'm talking like in the mainstream for maybe like 4 years now or something like that. So AI has basically given people access to like an entry-level content writer. Like the average person now doesn't need to hire a content writer, an average content writer. They just need to, they can just use ChatGPT, or they can use like Claude AI and all of those different, AI writing tools. So since that's kind of happened, like the internet has exploded with just a colossal amount of content. So since almost pretty much since that happened, I've noticed, and obviously a lot of other people have noticed in the industry, that Google has become a lot more kind of picky about the actual pages and sites that it crawls and indexes. So for example, there's a hell of a lot of content out there that Google has now kind of crawled. So it's come on. So for example, if it was this site and it was like a service page, let's say like carpet tiles, for example, then Google might come through this site and might find the carpet tiles page, and then it would crawl through this page. So it's coming through, it's crawling, it's looking at this content here. And then basically by the time it's kind of finished crawling this page here, it then decides like, are we actually going to put this in the index, or are we just going to just crawl it and then we're going to leave it? We're not going to put it in the index. So if it doesn't go in the index, then basically what that means is that Google isn't going to show it on its search results. You're not anywhere in its search results. So for this page here doesn't exist on Google, because Google has crawled it, but it's decided that the quality isn't good enough, so it's not going to index it. So the point is that now, like I was saying, with the amount of AI content out there, that's why Google is doing that, because it's only got a certain amount of, it only wants to have a certain amount of websites and content in its index. It hasn't got an infinite number of kind of pages and sites and things like that it can crawl and index. Like, it needs to be picky. So it's only kind of picking the content that is deemed like the best in Google's eyes. And obviously, again, that's open for discussion of what you'd actually call good quality content, because Google's never going to tell you what good quality content is, because again, there's 200 ranking factors here that would all kind of come together to make quality content. However, like, one thing that you got to be a little bit careful of is like thin content. So for example, if this was a page about carpet tiles and then it only had like 100 words on it talking about carpet tiles, that's probably going to be a page that doesn't really offer a lot of value to the reader or to the user. So that's probably going to be deemed as a low quality page. Like a high quality page, on the other hand, there's a lot of kind of signals, and I'll get into this later on, but there's a lot of signals that make up a high quality page. But initially, you just want to make sure that for the first thing is that the page is structured correctly. So you've got the right keywords in the right headings. So you've got your heading 1 being the kind of main topic, and then you've got semantically related headings that kind of filter off from there. So this could be like heading 2, which if you're talking about carpet tiles, it might be carpet tile installation. This one here might be carpet tile suppliers. In fact, I would probably put carpet tile suppliers before installation, because supplier comes before installation generally. So like, it's about thinking about the structure of the page and thinking about the way that the content flows correctly, and then obviously writing enough content but not too much content. So you want to write enough content so it's gives the reader and the user enough information about that particular heading and that section, but not too much content where you then start writing a load of fluff, basically, and Google doesn't really want to read it. And again, going back to AI, like AI generally has a habit of writing just fluff and crap. It does write the stuff that you need to kind of put on the page, but then at the same time, it writes a lot of stuff that you don't need to put on the page. So that's going to be the first thing that you need to do with your website, is go through your website, make sure you've got all of the right pages, make sure you've got all of the right content, and make sure that your content is good quality content. And you can actually go into Google Search Console, and you can look in the index, and you can see what pages are being crawled and indexed, what pages are being crawled but not indexed. And then there's also another section which is like crawled, discovered, not indexed. So discovered, not indexed is generally when Google has kind of seen it, but it's yet to go back to it and then crawl it. So discovered isn't so bad, but crawled and not indexed is generally means that the page is not of any value to Google, and then you need to kind of come on here and make some changes to it. So a lot of what I'll be kind of going through of the kind of key things that I think need to be implemented to get the best results on Google in the shortest amount of time, it is kind of what makes up a good quality page. So there we go. That's basically what the first thing I would suggest is going through your website and doing that. And then additionally, one of the key areas for you is going to be, like I mentioned earlier, the location pages. So again, if we go down to like locations here, and then we open up a location page, you know, in fact, we go back quickly. You can see like these are kind of the pages. You wouldn't want to create all of these pages, but for example, if you're a flooring company in like Kent, then you're going to, where is it? Then you're going to potentially want to target flooring Kent, and then, you know, some of the other kind of smaller areas around Kent for flooring services. So, but basically, if we go to this page here, it's the only one I've built. Again, these pages are going to be key for making sure that you're ranking for the right keywords, because you need to have these keywords, these topics, and all of the kind of related headings and stuff like that on this page for Google to know that this is the keywords that you want to rank for within the areas. These are the services that you want to rank for within this area. So generally, what I'd kind of recommend now is not kind of creating a page for every single type of service within every single type of location. So what I'm talking about is, for example, like Flooring London would also like incorporate, you know, like vinyl flooring London, laminate flooring London, carpet London, because London is the overall topic of that kind of page. So it's not particularly necessary for you to actually go and create like wood flooring London, vinyl flooring London, carpet flooring London, or carpet London, laminate flooring London. You could create just the flooring London page, and you could target all of those keywords there. And then maybe 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, you might look at this page and you might see that, in fact, wood flooring London doesn't rank very well, but vinyl, carpet and laminate do. So then you might want to start thinking, like, do you need to start creating another page to target that particular keyword? But in the beginning, you definitely don't need to do that. You just need to target this one page. And again, it goes back to what I was saying about having Google having kind of too much content now on the internet. You kind of want to keep the pages or the site down, not to the bare minimum, but you want to keep this site kind of in the lower spectrum, you know, like the lower end of the spectrum in terms of like how big it is. Like if this site is an app, if you was to build hundreds and hundreds of pages all targeting different services that you offer, all the different locations that you offer them in, then this site is going to be bigger than the average kind of local flooring business, and Google's going to be able to see that. So your site shouldn't be, you know, kind of crazy big, you know, just because you're trying to target every single keyword on, you know, completely separate pages. So that would be my recommendation. It would be to start off with targeting the kind of top level topic and making sure that you're targeting all of the other types of keywords there. Again, like even with the location pages like London, obviously I think that's probably a little bit too broad. But for example, like if we was to zoom in a little bit here and we look at somewhere that's, you know, like Greenwich, for example, you could create a Greenwich page, but Greenwich has also got a lot of other areas inside it that you could potentially target, but you wouldn't necessarily need to create new pages for those different areas. You could target all of those different areas within this one Greenwich page. So similar to the flooring side of things, you wouldn't create vinyl flooring, carpet, laminate, all of those separate pages. You just create the flooring page, And it's the same thing with Greenwich. You wouldn't create all of the areas that fall under Greenwich. You would just create the Greenwich page and then target those areas on that one page. And again, like I was saying, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, or whatever it is, you can come back and then see what keywords aren't ranking and then try and work out a plan to try and get those a little bit higher. So anyway, so that's the first thing I would say. So content is going to be my number one thing that you would need to focus on. This is like the first thing that you need to do on your website. And you could even do the content, not worry about anything else at all. You know, and that's going to improve your rankings. You know, not necessarily going to get you to the top of the rankings, but it's going to improve something. And then, you know, you could come back to that at a later date and perhaps then start doing some of the other stuff. Right, so the next thing is going to be structure. So structure is going to be my second most important thing, because once you've got your content in place, if Google can't find the content or your visitors can't find the content, then essentially the content might as well not even be there, because, you know, if you've got pages that no other pages are linking to, then that's what you call like an orphaned page. So an orphaned page is like, for example, this page here. If no other page on this website linked to this page, then that page would be an orphaned page. It's a page that Google can't find and obviously the visitors can't find. So structure would mean the hierarchy of kind of pages, and also it would also be, you know, what pages link to what pages. So structure starts from, you know, your URL up here. So you would structure your URL in such a way that Google would be able to understand, you know, the relationship between this page and the other pages that are before it. So if we look at the URL at the top here, you can see that you've got the root domain here, and then we're saying this is a location page. But not only is it a location page, it's also a service page. But it's not just a service page; it's a residential service page. But then residential service obviously isn't quite defined enough. So then we're saying it's a flooring page. It's a residential flooring page. And then lastly, obviously being a location page, it's London. This one is targeting. Now, this isn't like the absolute way to obviously structure a URL. There's many other ways you can do it, but this is obviously my preferred method. And it could also be argued that perhaps like location wouldn't go there. Perhaps service or residential would be a little bit more important than that. In fact, flooring might be, and you could even put like a location there. You know, it's completely up to you, but essentially you just want to make sure that you've got a structure that you use throughout your site that Google can understand and crawl, you know, easily. And bearing in mind, the reason I do it like this, where you've got the root domain, then you've got /service / residential / flooring and / London, is because I would have built all of these pages as separate pages, and they'll have their own, you know, they'll have their own information. So basically, if Google comes onto the locations page here, which is no, the services. No, locations page is the one at the bottom there. Then Google can see all of the links to the different locations. So it's kind of the first. It's logical in the way that you would kind of navigate this site. So that's kind of the URL structure anyway. The other thing that you want to be looking at is internally linking. So, you know, for example, if you're mentioning one of the things that you want to do, if you're talking about the areas we cover in this location, if you've created other location pages, so for example, this one being a flooring London page, if you've created a flooring Greenwich page, then obviously Greenwich is a borough of London. So you'd want to put flooring Greenwich there, and then you want to link to the flooring Greenwich page. And then any other boroughs that you create a flooring page for, again, you'd want to list it here. And you'd want to link to those pages. So it's making it extremely easy for Google to see that this is the main page, but these are all the sub pages that link off of it. Again, the same thing with services. If you felt like you needed to create a wood flooring page, a wood flooring London page, because you just couldn't get that keyword to rank through this page alone, then you would put it in here, wood flooring London, and then you would link to that page. So again, we're making it really easy for Google and your visitors to navigate the page. And then we go down to the bottom here, and you always want to have your kind of related services on this page. So again, like these are links to the actual services pages, not like locations or anything like that. But again, these would link back to these pages, and then Google can follow these links to these different pages here. So the residential one here, go to the laminate page, and it can find out more information about laminate flooring there. Even though you would have written a small little bit of information about laminate flooring somewhere up here, it can still follow this link here and it can get even more information and better quality information from this page here. So you can see how like you would interlink your page, your website, sorry, to make sure that it flows correctly, to make sure that people can find your products and services, make sure that Google can understand your site and the hierarchy of information and stuff like that. So that would be one of the things, one of the most important things. It's just making sure that your site is structured correctly, making sure that it's easily crawlable, and Google it's not going to have a hard time finding anything or anything like that. And most importantly, your customers. Like, your customers are obviously the most important thing. You don't want your customers fumbling around on your website, getting frustrated and not being able to find what they need to find. Just another kind of quick note as well, like I've got case studies here, I've got blog articles here. You want to make sure, like, if you've got any blog articles or case studies that relate to the pages that we're currently on. So for example, if we was on the wood flooring page here, and we scroll down, and then you've got like, I don't even know, I've got I have case studies and blog articles, and you'd already written some articles about wood flooring and you've done some case studies about wood flooring, then put them on here, because again, it's making it very easy for people to navigate and find those pages, including Google. So just think kind of logically. Just another little note here, you've got frequently asked questions. Again, if we put the drop down here, if you had a blog article that related to this frequently asked question, then, or you had a case study that demonstrated the answer to this question, then again, this would be a good place to link from here to those articles and to those case studies. So that would be my second most important thing that I would focus on. So the third most important thing is quite tricky actually, because So third most important thing, I'm going to say, is going to be reviews, because some of this other stuff here, it could wait whilst you get reviews. And in fact, reviews arguably could actually be the first most important thing. But to be honest, I think your content and your website and structure kind of needs to be in place and up to scratch before you kind of start marketing it in a way, because that's essentially what reviews are. Like, you're kind of marketing your business, a bit like backlinks. So yeah, I mean, just really quickly, there's not too much to say on reviews, but you kind of just want to be making sure that you're getting reviews on a consistent basis. Like, some people, when you say to them about, we need to get some more reviews, they kind of immediately think about getting as many reviews as they can in one time. They think, perhaps we can just kind of get 30 or 40 reviews, reach out to all our existing customers, blast them all out, and then forget about getting reviews again. Like, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is basically, every week, like most flooring companies, you kind of speak to multiple people per week, especially residential. You're going to be kind of going in and out of people's houses, new jobs booked all the time. And you can get a consistent flow of reviews. Like, just getting 1 or 2 reviews a week consistently for years and years and years is going to be so much more powerful than you just reaching out to 100 people and then getting 50 reviews or something in one go. Like, it's obviously, if you've got 0 reviews on your Google business profile, then yeah, like, you do kind of need to get, to get like 10, 20 or more quite quickly to kind of stand a chance with ranking on Google Maps. But at the same time, like, don't go mad. Don't just try and get as many as you can in one go. Try and just kind of space them out over time. That's going to be the best strategy. Google kind of like will favor businesses that are kind of getting them consistently and have like a good kind of velocity of reviews over a long period of time, because that's really how a flooring business would operate. Like, if some businesses, like, Google understands, like, for example, some businesses, they might not necessarily need reviews every single week. They might only need 1 or 2 reviews every month, because some businesses might do bigger projects, more commercial projects and things like that, where that industry isn't necessarily expected to get consistent reviews every single week. So, for example, if you was like perhaps like luxury construction or something like that, whatever, but perhaps the projects are like high end and you only take on like 1 or 2 projects at a time. Now, everyone else in your industry is going to be in the exact same boat. they're only going to be doing the same kind of amount of work as you are. So therefore, the amount of reviews they need to get is going to be far less than someone that's kind of going out into someone's house like week after week after week. So, for example, like Google would not expect like this luxury building company to be getting, 10, 20 reviews, every week, every 2 weeks or whatever, every month. They would only be expecting the amount of reviews that they get to be in line with their competitors. Whereas in the flooring industry, like residential flooring, I'm kind of more referring to, the amount of reviews that you're going to get is kind of, you can get weekly amount, you can get sort of, you can get quite a lot of reviews in 1 week. So you basically just want to be looking at like what your competitors have got, how many they're getting, how frequently. It's quite easy to see to obviously go on to like a competitor's like. So we put in like Flooring London and then we go to Google Maps here. Like you can just go to any of these flooring companies here, click on their profile, obviously look at the reviews. You can then sort them from newest. And you can see like this one here, 10 hours ago. And then in fact, that's the only one they've got for 4 months. So they have actually got 176 reviews. So it's probably likely that they've kind of been consistent with it for a long time and then recently just not really bothered getting any more reviews because I mean they're still not that, they still haven't got that many reviews in fact in comparison to their competitors. But anyway, the point is you just want to kind of look at the kind of reviews that your competitors are getting within your area. And the reason like within your area, there isn't kind of some industry kind of number like that you will kind of have to aim for, because like someone in London, in the centre of London, operates around London, the whole of London, is going to definitely be a company that can get more reviews than a company that's perhaps operating in just Oxford here. If you looked at a flooring company in this area, they're very unlikely going to have 300 reviews or 176 reviews. This one here's got 1,639 reviews. They're not going to have that amount of reviews. So if we put like Flooring Oxford, there is one that's more of a sponsored one though. But you see like the average review now in Oxford is like 90, 24, 46. So that's what I'm saying. You've got to look at the amount of reviews your competitors have got, look at the kind of the frequency that they're getting them, and kind of aim for something similar to what they're doing. And that's what's going to, and when I say similar, you want to kind of slightly try and beat them, like in terms of the velocity and stuff like that. Because you probably notice that it's not always the companies that have got the most reviews that are at the very top of the search results. Often it is, but there are also a lot of other factors, going back to the 200 ranking factors there, that are going to help these companies to get higher up in the search results. And reviews aren't the only thing. There's a lot of other stuff that you have to think about. Like I can see straight away that this company here hasn't replied to any of their reviews since day one by the looks of it. So that's one signal that they're missing already, is not replying to reviews. So there's so much stuff that you can think about, but generally to kind of keep it simple at this stage, I would just say like just think about just trying to get consistent reviews. Look at your competitors, look at what they're getting. So this one is quite a good example. Like they got one a day ago, they got one a week ago, they got one 3 weeks ago, one a month ago, 2 months, 2 months. So they're getting like, I don't know, looks like they're had quite a good month there. So probably like between 5 and 10 per month, I would say, is quite average for this company here. So if you was competing against this company, then that would be something that you would want to be looking at doing. And again, you can see they're replying to all their reviews. You can look at the types of keywords that the customers are using, look at the way that they're replying to them. And this is all little things that are going to add up over the long period of time. So yeah, that would be my third most important thing, is reviews. But that's not to say wait until you've got your content and structure in place. Obviously, make sure that you're getting reviews underway the moment you get your Google Business Profile. Right, so the next thing that I'm going to say is going to be the most important is going to be backlinks. So was it last week or the week before? I can't remember, but the last podcast I did was talking about off-page SEO, and more specifically backlinks went into that. So backlinks are basically links from other people's websites that link back to yours. And backlinks are basically what is going to build the authority of your website. So if you, being in the flooring industry, you'd want to look at other websites that complement the flooring industry. So for example, like construction, it could be other flooring websites, it could be home improvement, whatever you can think of. That, in fact, I think I've even still got the note here with a few things like interior design, home improvement, construction, building, whatever you can think of that relates to flooring, that would potentially where this website would potentially have an article or piece of content that would talk about your products and services in it, or mention anything about flooring within that article. That's an article that is relevant to your website and your business, and that is potentially a website or an article and a page that you would want to get a link from to point back to your website. Because basically the way it works is the more websites that you have that are pointing back to yours over a long period of time, and again, exactly the same as reviews, it's not about getting 100 backlinks in one go. It's about getting 1 or 2 backlinks per month for months and months and months and years, and building up that velocity, building up the kind of consistency of getting those backlinks. That is what kind of moves, that's what kind of makes a website go up in rankings. It's that consistency. But you want to be looking for these websites that will potentially allow you to either create an article on there or put a link into an existing piece of content and link that back to one of your pages. So with backlinks, the kind of strategy that I generally use is first of all, if it's a website that's kind of new or hasn't ever had any kind of work done to it in terms of SEO or anything like that, then it's quite likely that there's not going to be any kind of backlinks that are already pointing to this website. So generally what I'd want to do is kind of build the authority of the homepage and the brand name before I start building backlinks to kind of like location pages and things like that. Because your brand is the most important thing. Like, Google is shown time and time again in kind of data, and when you like kind of analyze websites, that brand names are kind of one of the most important things that you can build traffic to. So you kind of want to initially start building backlinks to your homepage, and then once you kind of feel that your homepage has got enough kind of authority, then you also want to start building backlinks to kind of more specific pages like your location pages. And it's worth bearing in mind that if you build a backlink to your homepage, that distributes a lot of that authority to a lot of the other pages that are already on your site. So links to your homepage are like extremely powerful, but at the same time, like you can't just build backlinks to your homepage forever. You kind of need to look at other pages that you want to build links to. The main kind of pages that you would build links to is either your homepage. If you're trying to push a particular service here or anything like that, you'd also build links to any product pages or anything like that if you wanted to kind of rank for those individually. But obviously that's going more down the e-commerce route, which a lot of local flooring companies are not going to be too worried about. You'd build links back to like blog articles, because then you could kind of internally link from the blog articles to key pages on your website here. It's worth remembering, if you build a link to one page, if there's an internal link to another page that you feel is quite important to the page that you've built the link to, then that's going to pass the kind of authority from that page to the other page. And then lastly, you'll be building links to your location pages. Because, for example, if you're trying to target Flooring London, then you're going to want to try and get some links in there, links that point to this page that mention the keywords Flooring London, or, related keywords to this page here. So that is going to be my next most important thing that you need to focus on. Okay, so the fifth most important thing out of all of this stuff here, I'm going to say, is schema. Now, schema, again, this is something that you could do at the very start, and the reason you could do it at the very start over content structure or anything like that is because it does take a little while to kind of create, but there's no like design or anything like that involved in it. Whereas if you was to create content for your website and you was to structure your site, then you're going to kind of need to mess around with the design. You're going to need to build these pages and stuff like that. You're going to need to make sure that it looks right and it kind of converts and stuff like that. And at the moment, we're not talking about conversion optimization. We're talking about, how you can rank a page, how you can get a page ranking for the right keywords as quickly as possible. Where like schema, for example, it doesn't have any design element because all it is code. So I'll show you an example of schema. If we go to here, so schema is basically code that that goes into your onto your website on the back end. No one can see it apart from Google. I mean, you can see it if you was to actually inspect the page and look at the code, but generally your customers are never going to see this stuff, and it's an area that you can it's an area of content where you can kind of stuff lots of kind of keywords into it and things like that, and this can help you rank very well on Google, because all of this stuff, like it's hard to explain, you know, it's hard to explain schema in kind of one sentence really, but basically what you can do is, for example, you can just basically create a lot of content that relates to your business and relates to the page that you're putting it on to help it rank better. And you like, this is, like I was saying, this is all code. This, like, if we was to right click here and then we inspect, like, it all goes here in this code here. So in fact, not even inspect, if we view page source, sorry, like this is where it goes, the schema. So no one's ever going to see this apart from Google. So there's no reason to kind of design, you know, make this look pretty or anything like this. It's all code with information about this page. So the reason it is so powerful is because, like, for example, Floor in London, you could create schema about the Floor in London page, and that's it. So everything that you write about on the Floor in London page schema is all going to be like related keywords and content that relates to this product and service within this location. So, you know, if you can imagine, you've got all of this content here on the front end that everyone can see, and then you've got even more content on the back end that people can't see, but also is very keyword rich and is very well optimized for this particular keyword here. This is going to be a massive help in boosting this page's authority and kind of boosting, you know, the relevancy of this page. So schema is very important, and it's kind of one of those things that not a lot of people do, and not a lot of people do very well either. So if we go to the inspect here, like the view page source, you'll see that most pages do have schema, but the only reason they have schema is because on WordPress, if you're a WordPress user or any other kind of like content management system, like whatever your site's been built on, you'll find that they have very, very basic schema built into them. Not necessarily WordPress itself, but there'll be plugins on there. Like, for example, one of the most well-known SEO plugins is called SEO Yoast, and Yoast, you can see here, Yoast plugin, they've even written it there, will add its own schema to your page. But if you think that all of the millions and millions of people out there that have installed the Yoast plugin or similar plugins have all got this very, very basic schema added to it, you know, this is no different. Like, if it just, all it takes is just in installing one plugin, and then the plugin just adds this schema on it, then that doesn't set you apart from anyone else on the web. You know, if there's a million other people doing this thing that's easy enough to do, then it doesn't make your website or your content any better than theirs. And if you think like you're up against another flooring company in the London area, and you're both trying to rank for Floor in London, and one of them, you know, it just installs this plugin and it says, you know, it's SEO Yoast, they install this plugin and it's like kind of really basic schema. There's not really much, you know, there's not really much on here that's going to kind of set you apart from anyone else. And then you've got this other website that's actually, you know, properly kind of invest some time into creating good quality schema, you know, like this, for example, and put all of these different like entities and related keywords and things like that into their schema. This here is far beyond anything that the SEO Yoast is going to be putting onto your website. So, you know, like if you was to look at a page, like you look at your competitors and you look at your site and you think to yourself like, you know, there's no difference between, not no difference, but, you know, why are they ranking higher than me when their page doesn't look necessarily any better than mine? They've got a lot of the same content, and you'll find this when you're looking at websites on page 1 of Google search results. a lot of the pages on there, the content's going to be very similar, because Google wants, the same sort of content at the top of the search results. That you're never going to have a website that's got like, Floor in London page, and this page is completely different to the page that kind of ranks below it, because Google's looking for the same type of content that will rank. And that's why when you're doing kind of competitor research and stuff like that, you're going to see a lot of similarities between the pages that are on page one. And if you created something that was wildly different, then it's very unlikely you're actually going to rank for that keyword. So that's what you can see on the front. But what you might not be able to see on the back end is that they've probably or potentially invested a lot of time into schema. So, you could have a very, very poorly looking, like ugly page. You could have a page that doesn't have much content on it. It doesn't have much features on it. It's not very well designed. It's just a horrible looking page. And that page could potentially outrank a page that looked really good. Someone spent hours and hours designing a page purely because the ugly page has got very, very good schema on it. Like this, whereas the like beautifully designed page is just about design. There's nothing more to it, kind of thing. So, never look at a website or a web page and kind of just take it for face value. Don't kind of think, well, my page looks better than theirs. It kind of feels better than theirs and all that sort of stuff, so it must rank higher than theirs. There's a lot of other factors that go on behind the scenes that you don't necessarily know about, and schema is one of those things. And like I say, if you're on a Chrome browser, you can do it on any browser, but Chrome especially, if you was to right click and then you go to view page source, like that, and then you like you might not be able to find it or see it straight away, but you can just do a search and you can just put in schema, then you're going to see that it like kind of highlights, and you can see, then it's up to you. You can then look at the schema in more detail. You can try and work out what they're doing. If it's got SEO Yoast plugin sitting there, then you're obviously going to know that they haven't really done any schema. They've just installed a plugin, like I say, which millions of other people can do as well. So you might as well not even have it. It's that kind of worthless when people are doing it like that. So yeah, that's one of the things that I would say is incredibly kind of important. And like I say, like the reason that you could do this first is because that way you wouldn't actually have to worry about the content structure or anything else. You could just make sure that the schema is really good, and that's going to be high quality content that is behind your page that Google can see and your actual visitors can't see. So yeah, schema would be the next one. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to say is going to be the most important thing. I'm going to say is probably social profiles, branded assets, and things like that. So that's going to be number 6. So again, there's not really too much to talk about on this kind of side of things, but it's about kind of expanding your kind of digital footprint around the web. Like the more places that people can find you in, the more times your name, your brand name, your kind of slogan, your email address, your phone number, and your website address, all of those things, the more times they're kind of getting spotted and seen around the web by your customers and things like that, and Google especially, the kind of more authority it gives your brand, and the more trust it gives your brand, and the more kind of respect and stuff like that you're going to get from kind of having all of these different profiles around the web. So the key thing really is to make sure that you have every single social profile possible. I'm talking about the big ones. I'm not talking about like some that people have perhaps never even heard of. But if you come to the bottom of this page here, you can see like you've got Threads, which is the new one by Instagram. You've got X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. They're kind of the big ones. There are a few others. There's like Twitch, Discord. I don't even know if you'd be able to call those kind of social media platforms, but there are other ones, but they're kind of the main ones that everyone expects every company to have. And you don't necessarily have to have all of these and be posting on all of these all the time. You just want to make sure that you've got your brand name secured. So like, YouTube, for example, you can now have YouTube at your brand name. So again, like it's another place for kind of Google to see, like this is the brand name in the URL, and then you've got all the information about your business on the YouTube channel. All of these other places here. Facebook is especially important. That's essentially almost like a directory these days. Like if you was to search for a local business on a Google search on their brand name, you quite often see that Facebook comes up as one of the top results alongside their website. Instagram again, that I think that's becoming increasingly more and more important for local businesses. And to be honest, in terms of like generating work, obviously Facebook does have the local business pages, so people would be able to find you through like a Google search and stuff like that. But I think in terms of actually putting content out there and generating work for a flooring company, I think Instagram is going to be the most important one. I'm talking about residential flooring especially, where obviously LinkedIn would be. LinkedIn always is generally kind of more aimed towards like commercial and stuff like that. But, you know, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and obviously all the others. But I would say those three are probably the most important ones that you want to be making sure that you've got. And then look at any other ones that you could potentially get. I mean, you've got things like Reddit and Quora and stuff like that. You can obviously, you know, create an account and put your branding on there. And again, like branded assets, social media platforms and stuff like that, they're all kind of similar things. Branded assets, I mean, you could expand that to other types of profiles that wouldn't be kind of classified as social media. So, you know, you've got like Google business, your Google business profile. I suppose that would be classed as like a branded asset. Your Bing places profile. You've got House. There's the website called House, where you can kind of add your portfolio of stuff on there. Again, that's enough. I wouldn't really call that social media, but it's another place that you can put your logo. You can put your phone number, your images, all that sort of stuff. And remember, when you're uploading images and logos, obviously when you're uploading it, you're just thinking about like, you know, can someone visually see my logo, and can they recognize my brand through my logo? But you got to remember, a logo has a name. Like the file name should be named as your business name, you know. And then it's not only that, but an image or a logo would also have something called alt text, alternative text. So again, like the logo name and the alternative text are more places you can add more information about your business. It doesn't matter what website you put it on. There's always going to be a name of the image, and there's always going to be alt text if they add it. But you know, this is more information that you can put out there. And again, you know, going back to putting images on, you know, so any of these social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, make sure that you're always on, or House, whatever it is, even your own website, make sure that all of the images are relevant to the pages that they're going on, and they're relevant to obviously the job and the work and stuff like that you're trying to target, because all of this information is all information that Google can see. And like going back to here where we kind of right clicked and we inspected, all of this information is going to be on this code here somewhere. And Google can read every single bit of this code on this back end. So remember that your website is not just this front bit here, but your website is also this back bit here. There's obviously going to be a lot of stuff on here that Google won't want to read because it's completely kind of useless to them. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that they will want to read, and they will actually crawl it, and they will index it, and they will take it into account when they're ranking your page. So bear that in mind. Whatever you ever upload to any kind of site, it always has kind of a bit of a footprint that you don't necessarily see. Okay, so the last thing, number 7, is going to be supplementary content. Supplementary content is just going to be content that is kind of supplementary to like any of your services, locations, or anything like that. That basically kind of add, you know, a little bit of authority to your business. So like blogging is going to be supplementary content, case studies, you know, adding perhaps things like brands, FAQs on any of these pages. This is all content that helps kind of increase the relevancy of your website, increase the, you know, the authority of your business and stuff like that. And supplementary content doesn't necessarily have to be on your own website either. You know, you could create an entirely different website. You could buy a whole new domain and create a whole blog that just links back to, you know, like your different services on this website. Like there's no reason why your blog cannot be on a different domain and still be your own blog and be your own brand and stuff like that. You know, so when you're thinking about supplementary content, it's not just about adding content on your own website here. It's also about adding, you know, supplementary content to things like your Google business profile. You know, if you go to any profile, you can see they can add things like here, from the owner, photos and videos. You can add all your products. You can add Google Business posts on here. And then you think about like social media as well, Facebook especially. Like Facebook is crawled and indexed, so you know, like Google can see those posts on its when it's crawling the web. So again, it's more information that kind of backs up your business. It's more information that makes you look like you know, more of an authority and a trustworthy source for, you know, your flooring services and stuff like that. So yeah, supplementary content is another thing that you want to be thinking about to basically kind of, you know, improve your authority and the overall ranking. So there we go. That is the things that I would focus on, and this is probably the order that I would do it in. You know, like, it's not like you have to do it in that exact order, but like, I'm thinking about logically. You're going to want to make sure that your content on your website is in a good place before you start doing any other work and trying to market it, because if it's not and people are going there, then, you know, it's not really going to do any favors if you're trying to, you know, push people to a website that looks pretty shitty and doesn't have the right content and stuff like that on there. But also, obviously, we're talking about in the context of trying to rank a website. You know, it's just a good place to start. Always start with your content, really. But like I said, you can start with schema if you really just wanted to get something on there quickly, and then you can go back to your content after that. But anyway, content first. The next one, I would say structure. So obviously Google can crawl and index and find your content, and obviously your users can as well. Third thing is reviews. If you've got a Google business profile, you know, I would start getting reviews as soon as possible. Put like a good system in place that works for you, and just keep trying to get like reviews consistently. Week after week, month after month, you know, and rather than just trying to get as many as you can in one go and then not bothering after that. So consistency is key with reviews, and obviously making sure that you're like responding to them and stuff like that. Number 4 is backlinks. So again, once all of this stuff here is in place, you're going to want to be building backlinks. You're going to want to be trying to increase the authority of your website and your business, and making sure that, you know, again, the same as reviews, making sure that you're getting 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 backlinks per month consistently for a long time. And as you're doing that and you're growing your business and you're getting more and more money to kind of spend on marketing, then you might want to think about increasing the amount of backlinks that you're going to be building over time and stuff like that. You know, the first year you might only want to aim to try and get 1 or 2 backlinks per month. And then as you kind of start progressing through the year, you might want to start thinking like, we can try and get 3 backlinks per month now. And then as you start getting towards the end of the year, you might think, well, we've got more money now, we're making more money, we've got more customers and things like that. So let's try and, you know, ramp it up a little bit more, try and get 4 or 5 per month. You know, but it needs to be natural. We can't just start, right, I'm going to get 10 backlinks per month and that's that, and just smash it out. Like, that's not the way to rank a website necessarily. You can do it like that, but it's the better way to do it is kind of consistently over time where it looks natural. So yeah, that would be the strategy with that. Then we move on to number 5 is schema. So like I said, you can put that at the beginning if you wanted. This is all the stuff that your customers don't see but Google does see. It's very important, and there's a lot to schema. Just go on to schema.org, and you can see here there's a whole website on it. Go to schemas, and all of these links here generally all link to information about schema. And for a local business, you're going to want to look at things like organization schema. And it might look complex, but it's not when you kind of get your head around it. But all of this stuff here, you know, these are all things that can be included within organization schema. So, you know, some things that are quite important, like your brand name, contact point, URL, date, you know, like this, like person in charge and things like that. This is all information that you're basically trying to give Google as much information as possible about your business, and you know, kind of give your business that kind of you know, a bit of something better than what your competitors have got. So yeah, that's schema. And then number 6 is social and branded assets. So obviously make sure we've got all of the social media platforms, and try and, you know, keep adding your branded assets all over the web to the different kind of websites and platforms that you come across. And then lastly, supplementary content, like I was saying, you know, make sure that you've got a good blogging system in place. Sorry. So, you know, try and, a bit like backlinks and reviews, again, like, don't start building like 10 or creating like 10, 20 blog articles in one go and then posting them in one go. Just like think about, just write one blog article per month and just start from there. And then, you know, 6 months down the line, you might think, right, I can start doing 2 blog articles per month. and then, you know, another 6 months you might think 3, but like there is going to come a point where like you don't need to be doing that amount of blogging. You just kind of need to be kind of like, you know, 1 per month is fine, 2 per month is fine, 3 per month is fine. But, you know, for a local flooring company, does it really need that much content? Probably not. But again, it's all content that supports, you know, all your products and services. Like if you're a specialist in vinyl, then, you know, it makes sense to be writing articles about vinyl flooring, giving people that, you know, giving away your specialist knowledge about vinyl flooring. So, you know, that's what you're trying to do. And then obviously the vinyl services pages and things like that, and the vinyl location pages obviously all interlink to those different articles. Again, helping with the structure, crawlability and stuff like that of your site. So yeah, they are the 7 most important things that I would focus on for SEO that will get you the best results in the shortest amount of time. And yeah, like I say, there's 200 different ranking factors. Feel free to look through all of these 200, but to be honest, you're probably going to your head's probably going to explode by the time you looked at all of these and you actually want to kind of make a decision on what to start on. And I think actually this article is pretty much in agreement with what I said. There's a couple of things that I don't necessarily agree with for a local flooring company. So for example, they've put technical SEO as one of the most important things. That is, I do agree that is a very important thing to focus on, but not on a local flooring site, because local flooring sites or any local business site, they're not necessarily very big websites. They're very small websites. They've only got a few pages, and there's not much technical SEO that actually needs to be done on them. You might once in a while come onto a website that is just absolutely horrific and you need to sort some stuff out because, you know, it's terrible. But generally, you know, like technical SEO, I would say is kind of more important for the bigger sites. You know, the sites where people are adding like page after page, week after week and stuff like that. That's when kind of technical issues arise. But generally with a smaller website, a local flooring business or any other kind of local business, you know, with a few members of staff or whatever to serve in the local area, technical SEO is not something that you're going to want to kind of bog yourself down with. But that is something that you could potentially put on the list for, like, you know, later on, once you've got all of these main things here sorted. And then another thing that I saw would be like keyword optimization. Again, I think people kind of like spend too much time thinking about keywords and stuff like that. You know, like, you know, get all these fancy tools and things like that to do keyword research. But in actual fact, like, everyone knows the keywords that you need to be targeting, because, you know, like when your customer types in flooring company in London, they don't go to a keyword research tool beforehand to find out what keywords they need to be typing in to find the right business. They just type in whatever comes to the top of their head, whatever is the most relevant to what they're looking for. So with that logic, you can do exactly the same thing. You don't need to spend money on a keyword research tool, because you know that someone in London looking for flooring in London is looking for flooring in London. So why would the keyword be any different to that? You know that someone looking for flooring in London might also be looking for vinyl flooring in London, because they haven't specified the type of flooring they're looking for. But, you know, on another example, if it was like laminate floor in London, then, you know, how many other keywords can you put on that page that require a keyword research tool? You know, like laminate floor in London, laminate floor in suppliers London, laminate floor in installation London, and then you've got synonyms of those different, you know, keywords. So, for example, installation, like a synonym of that is going to be like fitting, fitters, installers. You know, you can include those keywords on that page, but again, it doesn't need keyword research. It doesn't need you to spend hours on the internet, you know, looking for hundreds and hundreds of keywords and making this humongous list of keywords that you're probably actually never likely to use. Again, keyword optimization, keyword research is probably, again, more reserved for the kind of larger websites where they've already perhaps over the years targeted every kind of variation you can possibly think of. But for a local flooring company, again, not that important. As long as you're targeting the top level topic and you're then thinking of the kind of related keywords, semantically related keywords to that top level topic, that's the most important thing that you can do. And then user experience, UX, kind of agree with that. It kind of is the same as like structure and content. You know, they do kind of make up user experience, but again, like, don't start going down the route of thinking that you've got to like become like a UX designer, or hire a UX designer to make your website kind of, you know, convert at the maximum. You think about your competitors. Your competitors are probably most likely not doing any of this, and even if you even just having just a good web designer, a good SEO that has a good kind of eye just for make a page look quite nice. Know the kind of features that need to be on a page. That's about as much as you need to do. Don't need to start going down like the psychology route and start trying to think, like a proper UX designer and stuff like that, and spending thousands and that kind of stuff. Again, I would say more reserved for the larger websites or the e-commerce sites where it's like critical that someone puts something in their basket or whatever. That's what that's more for. But the other things, quality content, backlinks, schema, social signals and brand signals, all the things that I said on my list. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to draw this episode to an end. Obviously, feel free to reach out to me at any time. Ask me anything that you want. But yeah, I'm going to call it a day here. So thanks for watching as usual.